Welcome to our next installment on guns. In our last several guns videos, we ran through what all the numbers mean on the counters, how to use the tables C3 and C4, and we also calculated the dice roll modifiers for the two-hit process with regards to the target modifiers on table C6 in our previous video. In our last video, we also covered how terrain affects the two-hit process, as well as the effects of range and target acquisition. In this video, we are going to cover two more modifiers to the two-hit dice rolls that come up quite often in the course of an advanced squadron game. The first is the changing of the covered arc, and the second is the pinning of the crew manning the gun. We will use the same combatants as in our last video. The Germans will have the 75 long anti-tank gun, and the Russians will have an 8.0, 4.47, and medium machine gun. In the last video, the Russians happened to be in the covered arc of the gun. We will change that slightly. Instead of the gun having the P1Q2 covered arc, the gun will have an Q2R1 covered arc. The Russians will be in the same place as they were before. The German gun cannot fire at the Russians until it gets them to within its covered arc. To do this, the German player says covered arc change to P1Q2. He turns the gun to face that covered arc. Now, if you go through the C3, C4, C5, and C6 tables, the only modifier that would apply to the shot is modifier A, firing outside the covered arc. Now, this particular gun is a non-turreted weapon because there are no circles or squares on the piece. We will be covering those in future videos. So this is qualified as a non-turret weapon. That is what NT stands for. Therefore, the first hex spine crossed adds a +3 to the two-hit dice roll modifier, and every additional hex spine crossed would add an additional +1 to the shot. Instead of an 8 or less to hit, the German needs a 5 or less to hit the Russian infantry. Now, if the gun had to cross 2 hex spines to get into firing position, it would have been a total of +4 dice roll modifiers to the two-hit dice roll, so the German would have needed a 4 or less to hit. The last thing to remember is that if you have to change covered arc and the gun is located in a building or woods, all these modifiers are doubled. So the first hex spine crossed would be a +6 dice roll modifier to the hit roll, and one additional spine to be crossed would make it a total of +8 to the first two-hit dice roll. Besides the two-hit dice roll modifiers that are added for a non-vehicular gun changing its covered arc to shoot, its rate of fire also goes down by 1. So in this example, the rate of fire, which is 2, would go down to a 1. If the gun involved had a rate of fire of 1, it would get that shot off after the turn, but at that point on, it could only intensive fire. The German rolls a 7, with a red 1 and a white 6. He did not hit the Russians because he did not get the 5 he needed. However, he did keep rate of fire. The Russians get placed under a -1 acquired sticker, and the German can shoot again. Now, since the German player paid the +3 penalty for rotating the gun in his previous shot, he does not apply it now. Also, the rate of fire now goes back up to 2. Now the only modifiers that apply is the target acquisition, which is case N, for a dice roll modification of -1. Now the German rolls an 8, with a red 2 and a white 6. The German hits the Russians this time. He rolls on the 70-12 column and rolls a 6 from route check of 2, which both the leader and the squad pass. The -1 acquisition is turned over to the -2 side, and the German player can shoot again. Now the last major modifier you might see through the course of the game is that the crew is pinned. In this case, there would simply be a +2 dice roll modifier to the shot, and because the crew would be pinned, there is no rate of fire, so it is one shot and done for the gun and crew. This finishes this installment on guns and the two-hit process. Our next gun segment will deal with anti-aircraft guns, mortars, and critical hits. Just remember that while I hope these videos are helpful, they are only meant to be an introduction to this great game. They are meant to give you enough confidence to dive in and have some fun. The trick is to play and keep playing, and don't worry about making mistakes. Perhaps play and learn from a more experienced player. Also, look to take part in one of the many advanced squad leader tournaments like the Nor'easter in Massachusetts and the New York State ASL tournament held in Albany, New York. If you find this and my other videos helpful, please like us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to contact me at jdhobbies@live.com. And like always, thanks for watching.